All right, friends, this is a part of your program that you will not see in any other fitness program, I promise you. We are talking about rewriting the narrative, and we're talking about in a physical sense, but it plays in every part of your life. What I hope for you is that as you align with your physical health, you start finding health and happy in all areas of your life, okay? And this is pattern recognition. This is seeing the story and rewriting it. It's seeing the story in the moment when it's happening and deciding how you're going to move next. So we're going to talk about 3 things in this video. We're going to talk about where that narrative came from. We're going to talk about how to rewrite the narrative. And then we're going to talk about how to discern which ones we rewrite. Okay, let's start with where that narrative came from. That narrative, those patterns that you have currently in your adult life are likely patterns that you developed early in age. Most of our patterns we develop from the ages of 0 to 6, sometimes a little bit longer than that. And the people who surround you in that time period are heavily influential in how you see the world today. I know it's crazy, but what happens is we develop survival tactics, right? So we're children trying to figure out how to live in an adult world, trying to figure out how we fit in, how we are loved, how we are accepted, and we've developed patterns around that. Our worthiness, our ability, our confidence, all these things come from an early age of who we were told that we are, okay? So that narrative came from little baby you. So, the beautiful part about rewriting that narrative is you don't have to be harsh on yourself. You get to actually be really gentle in doing that. You get to see the story and say, hey, sweet girl, we don't think like that anymore. We don't do those behaviors anymore. And we're going to move differently now. I'm the adult. I'm the adult that I always needed, and I'm gonna make different choices. I'm going to make sovereign choices because I know what's better for me now. Okay, so that narrative came often from early patterns. And sometimes later in life, right, we develop these patterns through different events in our lives. But that means that pattern that says that healthy food is boring, or that says that you have to go through this binge and abstain cycle, or that pattern that says, I fucking hate working out. Whatever it is, we can learn to rewrite those stories, right? So what does it mean to rewrite the story? What does it mean to say, I'm going to change my narrative? What I mean by that is we all have this inner voice. We all have this inner dialogue of how we're moving through life, how we perceive life, what we want, right? And we have these thought patterns. Unfortunately, because we're human, we have a negativity bias. What that means is even if 8 things are going really well, we'll often see the 2 things that are not going well, right? So we'll be like, hyper-focus on the things that need to be fixed rather than hyper-focus on the things that are great. This is why we do a gratitude practice. This is why I encourage a gratitude practice, is because when we start to shift the focus to the positive, it's easier to see that all around us, right? So that's one narrative shift that we've been doing already. The other way, or to directly do that, is to see it in the moment, right? I've said this when I've talked about working out, right? I will often try to talk myself out of doing X amount of reps, right? So the example that I've used before is I'll get ready to do a set and I'll say, I'm gonna do 10. And I might get to 5 and be like, whew, I don't know if I can make it to 10, maybe I'll do 8. And then I'll get to 8 and I'll say, I got 1 more. And then I'll do 9 and 10 and maybe I'll push beyond, right? And so that mental toughness, that changing the narrative of saying, you know what? Just because it's an automatic thought doesn't mean I'm gonna believe it. And that's across the board, okay? When we have emotional responses, when we have emotional reactions, those are signals. How can I adjust here? How can I change the narrative in the moment? That's the real game, is changing the narrative in the moment. So when you decide you don't want to work out, when you decide you want to indulge in shittier food, like, you're allowed to do those things, but make sure those things are a choice. Make sure when you have those, you make those decisions, that you're not beating yourself up for it. You don't feel guilty afterwards. Because again, that's another narrative you can shift, right? If you made the sovereign choice to not work out because your body needs rest, which is a very valid reason. If you've chosen to take that rest, then Maybe the narrative shift is coming after the fact when you feel guilty or you feel like you're not good enough or you never stick with things, all these things, right? We're changing the narrative, and that means choosing our happy and healthy. That means making sovereign choices in how we want to show up. And so rewriting those narratives is seeing those thoughts either after they happen and deciding how you want to move in the future, or while they're happening and saying, I don't want to believe that. I don't want to follow that path anymore, and making a choice. So what I need you to understand though, is that not all of your narratives are bad. Not all of them need to be eradicated. You haven't only learned shitty patterns. Some of them are serving you really well. Some of them are a part of your personality, which is your personal reality, right? And so some of those things, they don't have to go anywhere. You can hold on to those things, especially if they're serving you, especially if they're leading you towards your happy and healthy, especially if they're giving you some level of tenacity. Those things are okay. And there is no negative emotion. Those emotions are signals, right? So I'm not saying that you should never be angry, you should never be sad, you should never be disappointed. Those things are good. Those are good things. But what we're not gonna do is attach to them. What we're not gonna do is believe that that's who we are in our deepest core, right? What we know about ourselves is that we have choice over how we show up. And so rewriting the narrative is saying, this serves me, this does not serve me, and deciding which one you wanna move with. You understand? So rewriting the narrative, that's what we've been doing this whole time. That's what I've been preaching to you about posture, right? Rewriting the narrative of how your body's showing up in physical space, of how you're holding your body, of how your joints move. Those things are leading you to more mental clarity. They're leading you to more connection and being able to move freely. In Eastern medicine, it's said that your joints are the area within your body that you exchange energy with the outside world. So the more fluid you are in each of these areas of life, you get to be more fluid with how you move through life. You feel me? We're rewriting the narrative. We're deciding what's staying and what's going, and that's an active choice. It's an active choice from here on out. You don't have to do it, but you can. And I promise you, it will lead you towards your happier and healthier version. Hey, thanks for watching. This was a quick taste of my one-on-one program, but on this channel, we talk about optimizing our existence. And if you're down for that, I'd love to have you along. See you soon.